Presence or absence of Taqwa and Ihsan. Chapter 10 of Al-Fusul Al-Ilmiyah Wal-Usul Al-Hikamiyah. Translated, Categories of Knowledge and Principles of Wisdom by Imam Al-Haddad, a 17th century saint and jurist from Yemen. Presence or absence of Taqwa and Ihsan. You should know that the different situations and conditions that befall men are to be perceived and accepted as good in the presence of being mindful of one's duty to Allah, to fear Him, and demonstrating excellence in worship, such as in situations of poverty or wealth, health or sickness, eminence or lowliness, obscurity or fame, and others. Similarly, situations which are abhorred and despised can befall men and alternatively be received with unacceptance, hurt, and outrage. The explanation of this is as follows. When a man of taqwa and good conduct is stricken with poverty, his state with Allah will be one of acceptance, contentment, patience, conscientious, being independent of others, and of many other noble attributes. His share of Allah's graces will be to receive His good pleasure, gain nearness to Allah, supported through the bestowment of patience and assistance and other divine graces. In his dealing with people, he will keep his situation concealed and appear normal. Others will praise him in his poverty and say that Allah is leading him on the same path as the best, selected, and most loyal of his friends, the awliya and the noble servants of Allah. That same poverty, when it befalls some of the ill-behaved and corrupt men, will cause distress, anger, envy, and covetousness towards others. His share from Allah will be of wrath, aversion, and there will be no assistance with patience and support. He will be despised among people for his neediness and be scorned for his inability to attend to his need and not able to find a way to remove what has befallen him and attain well-being. They will say that Allah, the Exalted, has punished him with poverty because of his lack of religion and virtue. Whenever a man of good conduct and taqwa, to whom Allah the Exalted gives wealth and affluence, he will be thankful and appreciative of his bounty. He will use it in obedience, spend it carrying out good deeds, and help those both who are close and distant from him. He will receive Allah's pleasure and love and be strengthened with more affluence and ease. People will praise him for his good works and pray for an increase in his affluence and ease for him and for other blessings as well. On the other hand, an ill-behaved, corrupt man who has wealth and affluence will be constantly engaged in accumulating and keeping his wealth avariciously to himself. He will lack the conscience and display extreme miserliness and stinginess, as well demonstrated a lack of piety and greed and other similar negative traits. He will suffer from Allah's wrath and displeasure. People will censure him for abstaining from good deeds and for his disloyalty and injustice, lack of goodness, and other negative traits. A man of taqwa and excellent conduct, when in good health and safety, in comfort, will be thankful and strive hard to please Allah the Exalted, and to use his good health and strength in obeying him. He will receive his good pleasure and be honored. People will praise him for his good deeds, determination, and earnestness in obedience. Whenever sickness and poor health befalls him, he will accept it, show patience and submission to Allah's will, be content with it, and refrain from impatience, anger, and from lamenting to others. He will receive Allah's good pleasure, solicitude, and assistance, and will be strengthened with relief, tranquility, and the likes of it. People will praise him and say that Allah the Exalted allowed this illness to afflict him in order to cleanse him of his sin, kafara, because his good deeds and increase his good deeds and raise his rank. Whenever an ill-behaved, corrupt man is healthy and enjoys well-being, he is ungrateful. He transgresses, neglects doing acts of obedience, and is eager to use his strength and vigor in disobedience and sinful ways. He receives Allah's wrath and be distant from Allah. People will censure him for his transgression and for his eagerness to receive Allah's wrath. When he becomes ill or is afflicted in any other way, he becomes angry, fretful, and impatient. He is upset with Allah's decrees and exhibit other blameworthy traits. He will be met with aversion and repudiation from Allah the Exalted. People will criticize him and say that Allah has punished him with illness and afflictions for his transgression, immorality, and numerous sins. Based on this example, observe and reflect on how condition as honor and abasement, obscurity and renown, distress and affluence, and other conditions which can appear in the lives of mankind. You should know and be aware that being mindful of one's duty to Allah and being fearful of Allah and showing excellence of behavior will render any of these conditions beautiful, good, and upright, whereas corruption and evil conduct will render them ugly and degrading, and expose such people to censure from others and wrath and aversion from Allah Himself. Do reflect and meditate on this matter well. It includes subtle knowledge and provides answers to challenging situations. Although we could have elaborated at length, it is noteworthy that the little we have presented so far is sufficient for the reflective and mindful reader. Subhanallah, walhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahil aliyyil azim, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahil aliyyil azim, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahil aliyyil azim.